Guys, welcome to the J. Scott Outdoors podcast. This is going to be part number 4, and Steve Chappell of ChappellGuideService.com is going to be going over his matriarch and trophy wife calls and telling you how to make adjustments and how to tune them. And I think this is a very important episode to hear how he does it, and he blows an external reed cow call as good as anybody I've ever heard. And so listen up, there's some great little nuggets in this short clip, and I want to thank you guys for listening, and I want to thank you for your support of this podcast. Super grateful for you guys as well as the sponsors of this podcast, and I encourage you to check out the show notes and support those fine companies that support me every day in producing this podcast. And thank you for all of the messages that I'm getting in regards to how much people are liking these tips by Steve Chappell, and thanks to him for providing that for us. And I look forward to having him on the podcast here before elk season, and we're going to be able to talk to him about his calls, about his outlook for the 2017 season. So great stuff, and I just really appreciate your support, guys.
First thing I want to talk about with either call, either the matriarch or the trophy wife, is your castration band, because I feel like even though it's a small part of the call, it's a very important part of the call. As you see, I like to have my castration band, about 80% in on the call. That's just the position I prefer it to be in. You can use your judgment on that and the tonal quality that you want. But it does definitely make an impact on the tonal quality of the call. So I believe that you for sure want to have this castration band on the call. Okay? One thing that you'll want to make sure of is that you have a fairly fresh castration band, because these can stretch and dry rot over time, especially if you leave them in a hot vehicle. So what you can do, I've got another one right here. You can just roll it right off of the call, and you can buy these castration bands at any feed supply type store. They come in packs of, 10, 50, 100. They're very, very inexpensive. This was like $2 for 100 of them. So what you're going to do when you get your new package of castration bands is you're just going to stick it on the end of the call like this and just roll it on. Pretty much 2 rolls gets it right where you need it to be, just like that. And the call, if you're having any trouble with tonal quality on the call, this will just make your call sound brand new again. Okay, just by adding a new castration band to it. So I highly recommend doing that, occasionally, maybe every year or two. The next thing about the call that you're going to want to check, and we'll show you a close-up of this, but if you'll take your wooden barrel and screw it off, turning it counterclockwise and twisting it off, it'll come right off of the call. Okay, so then you just have your soundboard here, your mylar reed, your castration band, and your wedge. Now what I like to do with my reed to get it adjusted properly, I either like it flush with the end of the soundboard and the wedge, or slightly, ever so slightly shortened up. In other words, you'll see just a little bit sticking out, about a 1/16 of an inch maybe, okay? And that's going to give you your good tonal quality. When you get that adjusted, you're just going to screw your soundboard back, or your wood barrel back onto the soundboard and the wedge, and then you're ready to go. Okay, and the same applies to the trophy wife, which, by the way, we just took a real nice bull here in Arizona using this call. This is our first year trying out this prototype. We're going to be coming out with this call for 2014. It's a fantastic little call. It's got a real sensitive, clear Mylar reed, same castration band, real pretty, clear soundboard, and then a real nice camouflage barrel. And it's just a good complement to your matriarch call. It's got just a little bit different tonal quality. To me, it sounds a little more like a young cow. It's got a little more rasp, a little more nasal quality to it. Okay, and here's what the matriarch is going to sound like. So as you can see, it's a little deeper sounding than this trophy wife. Another thing you want to do when you're out there hunting, as you guys know, the mornings especially can typically be kind of damp and cold. And as you find with all of these open reed calls, no matter who makes them, you can have a little bit of a challenge with a sticking reed. The first thing to avoid, a couple things you can do to avoid that. Number one is get your air from your stomach, so you're originating your air from your stomach when you blow on the call. That's going to help you not blow so much saliva into the call to start with. And then the next thing you can do is keep your call inside of a pocket or underneath a layer to where you're keeping it against your body. It keeps it warm, it keeps it up to temperature. Then it's a lot less likely to condensate on you when you start blowing your warm breath on it. So that's a little trick that I do. And then if the call does still get some condensation under the reed, I'll just take it and I'll just put it under my, shirt tail or something and rub off the condensation or saliva, and you're good to go again. So okay, and that's how you blow that call. Same with the trophy wife. Everything applies to the trophy wife that applies to the matriarch and vice versa. So best of luck to you guys out there on your hunts. We've been using this matriarch in particular. This is the 4th year we're using it. We've had fantastic results. I always say this, and I'm still a firm believer in this. Guys, it doesn't necessarily matter how new a call is. This call is time-tested and proven. It's what it sounds like, and it sounds elky, and that's what the bulls like. They respond to this call because of the elkiness of it. And I guarantee you 20 years from now, you'll still be calling bulls in with it. And same goes for this call. It sounds elky, and we manufacture our calls all about that. No gimmicks. We just want to make great products for you guys that sound elky, that call bulls in consistently for you. And as you can see by the videos, the proof is there that these calls really do work. Thanks and best of luck on your hunts.